If you have noticed, one part of a pretty common underground structure has not so long ago seemingly disappeared from Minecraft worlds, or maybe not. Chances are you've delved into the caves countless times to mine some resources, wandering through tangled mineshafts and quite possibly stumbled upon this. For some mystery reasons, a generated space with the floor made of dirt and walls made of stone. Sometimes you might find moss or default grass there. But why were these rooms created in the first place? It wasn't just a random bug. These rooms were intentionally generated with mineshafts and never appeared spontaneously in the world on their own. However, the disappearance seems to have gone largely unnoticed by players, myself included, who were so excited with the Caves and Cliffs update exploring the new underground generation that they didn't even notice that in Minecraft version 1.18 this room was removed from the game, or I would rather say, just slightly changed. I was bored and tried to search for some info about these rooms online, just skimming through Minecraft wiki articles, and it was not successful. I haven't found any explicit evidence of the existence of such rooms within mineshafts. Yet it was difficult to believe that there was no description or purpose for this thing, as pretty much everyone who played Minecraft long enough could confirm that they had seen these rooms when they were wandering through the cave systems. Having spent some more time in research, I have found an idea that dungeons with treasure chests and spawners could be a hint to finding answers. To generate such rooms, you need to go back to version 1.17 or earlier, before the world expanded down to -64. Just find some mineshaft underground and you will likely come across one of these empty spaces, typically measuring 9 by 10 or 9 by 9 blocks in size. Sometimes they may appear deformed, resulting in random shapes. As I mentioned earlier, the floor of these rooms is entirely made of dirt, which is an unusual feature for a mineshaft, as you won't find it anywhere else within them. Additionally, you may encounter moss, dandelions, regular grass with ferns, or a mixture of these elements there. These rooms often intersect with canyons or other naturally generated caves, which can cause them to become distorted or even completely destroyed. I assume that eventually version 1.18 with its expansion of the world's depth forced the developers to revise the generation of mineshafts as well, due to the reason of generating them below the Y0 coordinate. So with this update, these rooms were changed too. So how could dungeons be related to these rooms? There is a theory suggesting that these rooms could have served as templates for structures that would become part of mineshafts in the future. Developers can introduce some content with potential for future use and later decide whether to add functionality to that content or remove it from the game completely, as possibly occurred in this situation. Moreover, if we cover the walls of the room with cobblestone, we essentially create a dungeon, only without the spawn and the chests, so the dimensions of the resulting space remain the same in terms of height, width and length. To support this theory, it can be assumed that dungeons already existed at the time these rooms were added. Dungeons were introduced in 2010, while rooms within mineshafts were added in 2011. Initially, dungeons were standalone structures not associated with mineshafts. However, a year later, developers made it mandatory for dungeons to spawn near mineshafts or to have access to them through a slightly damaged wall, allowing players to enter freely. Perhaps these rooms, existing in the game for over 10 years, before suddenly disappearing, were initially intended to serve a different purpose, left as placeholders for future content. The developers never revisited these rooms over the years, leading to their eventual removal from the world generation. They may have been placeholders for future rooms with spawners already attached to mineshafts, but the necessity for such rooms faded over time. But that was only the theory. Actually, rereading Minecraft Wiki again, I came across a history section where in the row titled version of Minecraft 1.18 mentioned a line that says, "The starting room in mineshafts no longer generates with the dirt floor." The dirt floor was the key word that made me put 2 and 2 together. According to the wiki, all mineshafts have corridors, crossings, staircases, abandoned passageways and a starting point. Wait, what? A starting point? What's that? So, according to the Minecraft wiki, this place is described as 10 by 10 parlor with an arched ceiling and 1 to 4 exits in each direction. When finding such a thing in a game, we can see some similarities to the previously mentioned rooms. Referencing to the modding bug reporting page, it is noted that the ability of dirt to generate below Y0 in mineshafts was resolved as fixed. As a result, the room with the floor made of dirt and walls made of stone serves as a central part of the mineshaft, resembling a starting point from which in each direction corridors make their way. So, for what reason other than just technically a starting point was that part of a mineshaft made, as there is no actual entrance from the surface to the mineshaft itself? However, some ancient builders, I guess, ones that were inhabiting Minecraft world, must have dug some tunnel to that place. Or they just had access there with the help of caves going through those rooms. Technically, such an excavation is called a shaft yard, shaft bottom, pit bottom, or inset. It is the place where a cage is located for returning miners to the surface, also some storage for inventory is placed there, and it can be just a place for rest as well. That's why it is not an unusual feature for a mineshaft to have some dirt in its starting point, because ancient builders could transfer it from the surface with their boots or in any other way, and over time foliage may have naturally grown in the area. However, it is still impossible to say for sure who built these underground mineshafts, because the developers left us with very little evidence.